been a ton of work to get up, like leading up to being able to put the radiator in it, which you can see in the other videos. But this video, I'm just going to give a quick rundown on what it took to actually get the radiator and the battery mounted in this. I've been really hard on this work on this thing today, and I forgot to take some videos, so I just wanted to show a recap of what I got going on. I showed you how the steering wasn't lining up, so I was able to actually cut the bracket off, free it up, and I got everything all clamped up here as a straight edge. I'm just going to be able to re-weld this in the correct position. You know, this isn't really the pump that I want to be using or the setup, but you know, it's in here. I'm going to get it going. Also, you can see these are my new lower radiator mounts, really strong. And I cut out the grill shell, the back of it. You can see I cut the bottom out straight so there's no more lip to make some space. Here it is with the radiator in. This is really exciting for me. This has been a really long time coming on this project. So it sits down real low here. So I built this little bracket, goes off this stud on the motor over to here, so pretty solid. And then this also has 2 bolts in the bottom of it, so it should be more than adequate. This is lined up pretty good. There's a little bit of a adjustment in this bracket, so I can really get it perfect. I gotta run into town and get a belt for that. And then I think that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up moving, not this port, because that lines up pretty good, but the lower one, I'm gonna switch it from the driver's side to the passenger side. So it'll go right up in. So might not look like much, but this has really been a lot of work to get to this point. It's coming out look how I want. Awesome. Down here in the garage, and got a plan of attack on how to move these ports around. So what we're going to do here is this one's just going to get cut down, and I'm going to put a bead on it so that the hose has something to clamp onto. And then this one and this one, I'm going to switch sides, so you can see I got it marked out 2 inches. So I'm basically just going to cut this one out and cut this one out, and then flip the pieces between the two. Cut it back down, cut this piece off, and then weld it on here. So I'm going to get going on that and show you the results. Before it gets welded and fitted up, this is what I did. I cut the 2 ports off, so we're going to do a flippy floppy. This one's going to go and sit over here. And this one's going to sit here. And then this piece that's straight, it's going to weld on just like that. Perfect. This radiator had like a weird clear coat or something on it, so it didn't weld up super pretty, but I think it'll be good. We'll find out once I get it installed and pressure tested. But you can see I ended up cutting this one down, putting a bead on it so that the hose clamp has something to sit onto, and I used the other end of it on this one so that I have a straight, and then this is it, the drain moved over. So hopefully no issues with this, and it all works. So let's get this on in there. Okay, I got the modified radiator back sitting into position. I went out to the store and I got some hoses off the shelf. So this one here, I think I'm gonna get lucky, and I'm gonna be able to make this one just work in one piece. I just gotta cut it down, and then I have another one here to cut up to get the shapes for the lower radiator. And if I need to, I'll get a piece of tube and splice it. But let's see how this all fits together. These M38 Jeeps actually come factory with 2 batteries in them. One of them goes here, and then one of them goes up in this little box inside the cowl. So I don't have the original mount there, and that's rotted out in the bottom. So I'm gonna make a battery box. I opted to make one instead of buy one because I don't know, I just kind of want it to look old and rustic, I guess. And when you make it by hand, that's what it ends up looking like. So I'm gonna cut this piece out for a base, get some of this around the edges to hold the battery in, and then I'll make like a top piece with this threaded rod. We'll get going on that. It's really cold out, you can't tell, but my phone batteries don't like the cold, my welder doesn't like the cold, I don't like the cold. I'm still out here working. I got the battery box bottom made. I just quickly welded it in. Got some supports here. I'm going to do a couple pieces of like threaded rod up through to a top plate to sandwich the battery in there. You'll also notice that the belt is all on this and adjusted in tight. Same thing with this one. All the mounts are in. I got my radiator hoses in, so once this is all buttoned up, I'm going to go ahead and get the radiator in this and hopefully get it running on its own. This has been a huge amount of work for me, and here it is all mounted up. So you can see the battery box is all completed. I got my little top piece made. Just got it stitch welded on the frame like I showed in the last video. The radiator is mounted here off of this bracket. I got all the hoses and everything all connected. The upper is connected, the lower is connected. I gotta go out and get some coolant. And the radiator is also bolted down onto the bottom. So it should be ready for its first test fire here. Radiator's in, the battery's in, Everything's connected. I got it on the charger. Let's see if it'll run. Little smoky. I think I gotta play with the carburetor, but at least it's now idling on its own. The radiator in. All working. Holding fluid. I ran it yesterday and I thought I had a couple of leaks, but I didn't. And I thought I had a dead side in the engine, but I really just had a couple plug wires not pushed on. So this sitting here idling on its own is a huge deal. Sounds good. Some light radiator and frame modifications and battery box fabrication, just some light work, you know. But what a huge relief this is to me to have this being able to sit here and idle and pumping water and turning the steering and having the battery firmly mounted. It's been a huge amount of work up to this point, and now it's at the point where I can actually sit here, I can run it, I can work on tuning it, and hopefully use it. So the next things on the to-do list are, now that the tank's mounted and all this is here, the next videos you'll see me redoing these brackets and stuff for the front axles as well as the rear axles, and I have to do a hydraulic steering setup. But this thing should be able to do some things as it is, so this is a huge step in the right direction. I'm going to keep moving on. You keep looking for more video updates.